Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Steelers select QB Bryce Young in the 33rd team's 2023 NFL redraft. The 2023 NFL draft looks like it was a good one for the Pittsburgh Steelers. First-round pick O.T. Broderick Jones looks like he could help anchor the offensive line for years to come. And second-round pick CB Joey Porter Jr. has all the makings of an elite shutdown corner. But with everything we now know about the 2023 NFL season, how would the Steelers draft have gone? Ian Valentino of the 33rd team did a 2023 NFL redraft, and the Steelers would look vastly different. Valentino had the Steelers pick QB Bryce Young with the 14th overall pick. There's no way around that Bryce Young struggled mightily as a rookie, Valentino wrote. But he would have had a higher chance of succeeding in a more stable environment with some playmakers. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh needed a more dynamic and fast-thinking quarterback to make anything Matt Canada drew up seem viable. Young still wouldn't have been a star right away in Pittsburgh, but his talent would have been more on display in a better situation. It's hard to think that the Steelers' offensive situation in 2023 could have been considered better than that of any other team in the league. Yet that might just be true when looking at the 2023 Carolina Panthers. When the Panthers drafted Young first overall, they pictured pairing him with head coach Frank Reich to help develop him. Unfortunately for the Panthers, Young, and Reich, the team lost its first 6 games and won only once in their first 13 games. Reich was fired after the Panthers' 17-10 loss to the Tennessee Titans in Week 12. Special teams coordinator Chris Tabor stepped in for the season's final 6 games, and the Panthers would only win one more game. Young finished his rookie season with a 59.8% completion percentage and threw for 2,877 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. It was an ugly season for everyone involved with the Panthers. So yes, the Panthers were in a worse situation than a Pittsburgh team with Canada as offensive coordinator. Could Young have been more productive than former Steelers QB Kenny Pickett? Young's top targets in Carolina were Adam Thielen, Jonathan Mingo, and DJ Chark. Young would have been throwing to Deontay Johnson, who, ironically, he will be throwing to in Carolina during the 2024 season, as well as George Pickens and Pat Freiermuth. The Steelers, even under Canada, were a much better running team than the Panthers with Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders. So perhaps Young could have had a much better rookie season in Pittsburgh versus Carolina. As for the Steelers' first-round draft pick in 2023, Jones only slipped 2 spots and was taken 16th overall by the Washington Commanders. As for Porter, he vaulted from the first pick of the second round all the way to the top 10 but stuck around in Pennsylvania. Valentino had the Philadelphia Eagles selecting Porter 9th overall. Even second-round pick DT Keanu Benton found his way into the first round, going 26th overall to the Dallas Cowboys. Evidently, Valentino thought the Steelers and general manager Omar Khan made some great choices with their first 3 picks in 2023. It would be hard to envision the Steelers without Jones and especially Porter. Porter could be a cornerstone of the secondary for the next decade. But the Steelers do not have a long-term solution at quarterback. Could Young have been that? Who knows? Russell Wilson's name thrown out as potential surprise cut in 2024. The 2024 NFL season can't get here soon enough. With so much time to think, it seems some of us writers have started to put stuff in the universe that probably doesn't need to be out there. The problem with the NFL offseason is that you can say just about anything is in the realm of possibility until it's not. That's sort of what seems to be going on with a pretty major outlet suggesting former Denver Broncos quarterback Russell Wilson could be cut for the second time in 2024. Pro Football Network released a list of surprise roster cuts for every team in 2024, and their pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers was actually Russell Wilson, who is projected to be the team's starter in 2024. Here is their justification: with a salary of just over $1 million, Russell Wilson arguably is more valuable to the Steelers if he stays on the roster. However, the salary also makes him easy to cut, and if Justin Fields wins the starting QB job, Pittsburgh might want to cut Wilson to avoid distractions. Pro Football Network: We will, of course, be following the remainder of Russell Wilson's NFL career very closely after the way things went and ended between he and the Denver Broncos. Heck, Wilson comes back to Denver in Week 2 of this season, so we'll have to be paying very close attention early on in the season. But let's get real, Wilson's not getting cut by the Steelers. With a salary of just over $1.2 million for this season, having a player like Wilson in your quarterback room is a bargain among bargains. Some of the top backup quarterbacks in the NFL right now are commanding north of $10 million per season. Just this offseason, the Las Vegas Raiders signed Gardner Minshew to a contract worth $25 million over 2 seasons. He may not even open the season as the starter over 2023 fourth-round pick Aiden O'Connell. If nothing else, the Steelers have quality depth at the quarterback position in Russell Wilson. If Justin Fields somehow manages to win that job in training camp and preseason games, having Wilson around wouldn't be a big enough distraction to justify cutting him at $1.2 million. The Steelers won 10 games last year with Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, and Mitch Trubisky running the show at quarterback. Let's say the combination of Fields and Wilson even splits half the games in Pittsburgh this year, they are going to expect an upgrade at that position regardless. Wilson would have to look exceptionally bad in training camp and preseason games to justify cutting him at that price. It wouldn't make any sense for the Steelers to cut a player like him when NFL teams used a combined 67 starting quarterbacks last season. Especially not when they were a 10-win team a year ago. It's certainly headline-worthy to put a player like Wilson on a surprise cuts list, but it really doesn't make any logical sense for the Steelers to do that, even if Wilson is named QB2, which also seems very far-fetched. PFF says Steelers should trade for Brandon Aiyuk. It's training camp week for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers have gone to great lengths to improve all 3 phases to stay competitive in a deep and talented AFC North. But even with all the changes the team has made, there is always work to be done. Pro Football Focus offered up one move every NFL team should make before the start of training camp. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, the move they recommend is to trade for San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk. Here is what they had to say about the Steelers and the potential trade. The Steelers' offense underwent some major changes in the offseason. The front office brought in Russell Wilson and Justin Fields to compete for the starting quarterback job, added 3 new faces to the offensive line and traded away Deontay Johnson to the Carolina Panthers. George Pickens is now expected to be the leading receiver, but the Steelers are thin overall at the position. Brandon Aiyuk's contract situation is looming large in San Francisco. The former first-round pick will play out 2024 on his 5th-year option and is due to be a free agent at the end of the season. While the 49ers would like to have him back, we've yet to see a long-term deal play out. And when it does, it'll likely be for big money the 49ers may not be able to afford. That could open the door for a receiver-needy team like the Steelers to make a move. There's no denying how badly the Steelers need to add another wide receiver. Aiyuk would be a perfect player to pair up with George Pickens, but the cost is too high, I fear. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Brandon Aiyuk? Leave your opinion in the comments.